Hey everyone, Brian Zane here with my review of AEW Dynamite for December 1st, 2021. It's kind of hard to believe it felt like we just skipped all of November. Went from Halloween to December 1st and nothing in between as far as I'm concerned. Where'd that month go? But anyway, Dynamite this week comes from Atlanta, Georgia. Jim Ross is off the desk for the next several weeks. He's undergoing chemotherapy for skin cancer, radiation treatment. So JR, best of luck to you. Keep on fighting. I'm sure you're not watching this video, but the message is coming to you in spirit. Also, Justin Roberts was not on the show this week. There's some family issue. There's nothing public or nothing disclosed about that yet, but hope he and his family are doing okay. Hangman Page, the world champion, joins commentary for this first part of the show. Bryan Danielson taking on Alan Angels of the Dark Order, and Alan Angels, one of the hometown boys from Atlanta, on this show tonight, and they're wrestling in the building he graduated high school from, and that was just 5 years ago, they said. So what a 5 years it's been, from graduating high school to wrestling on TV against one of the greatest wrestlers alive. Danielson continuing his quest to kick in all the heads of the Dark Order members en route to challenging Page for the title in 2 weeks at Winter is Coming. This is not a typical squash match. You know, the result is fairly academic, Danielson going over, which he does, but Alan does get some moments to shine here in the match. He has some fire, has a couple of big runs, but Danielson is just too dominant, too brutal. He keeps laying into him over and over, and for a while it seems he's kind of toying with Angels in the ring. Finally hits the Busaiku knee, but he's not done. He does the head stomps, then he gets into the knee bar, Angels taps out, and Bryan puts a little bit extra mustard on that thing, holds on to it for a little while longer. So yeah, Danielson wins here, and I think, you know, like I said, not a squash match. You know, the enhancement talent still looked okay in this thing, and if you can make both people look good, especially the no chance in hell kind of jobber character like Angels was here, that's all you really need to do. Danielson's interviewed after the match, and the moment the microphone reaches his lips, the fans are already raining boos down on him. He talks trash to the people of Atlanta, saying this is the best your city could come up with, and I still kicked his ass. He runs down Hangman Page, saying that he's going to prove he's a one-hit wonder, Winter is Coming, and that cowboy shit means coward shit. Page gets up and he wants to start something, but then John Silver runs out and stops him. He says, oh, there's this rule tonight that you're not allowed to lay hands on Danielson and vice versa, or else there'll be suspensions and stuff. So you can't touch Danielson, but I can. So Silver wants to fight. Danielson balks at that. He gets into Page's face, and Page says, come on, hit me. He's daring him to hit him. But Danielson says, the people here don't deserve to see that happen, to see me kick your ass tonight here in Atlanta. So I am liking this new side of Danielson here. You know, he's not evil. He's just supremely confident in his abilities, and he's not afraid to tell people and to show people that he can back it up with his actions. And this segment also has done some good heat building between he and Page. Again, kind of the systematic destruction of the Dark Order as Danielson's making his way to the title match. I think it tells a good story. There's a promo from Miro where he's in purgatory, presumably, and he's searching for guidance, and he realizes now how much of an asshole God has been, how God abandoned him while he was looking for love. He's got two weaknesses, one he will correct and one he will embrace. So wait, Miro apparently is feuding just with God straight up now. He's going to get a second PO after Backlash. You know, crazy times in wrestling. What can I say? Next match sees CM Punk taking on Lee Moriarty, and I like the Lars Frederiksen shirt that Punk was wearing on his way to the ring. MJF joins commentary for this matchup here, and that's the big story that drives this segment. I did watch the MJF CM Punk promo battle from last week's Dynamite. I haven't had a chance to talk about it yet, so I'll say it here. It was a fun, entertaining segment. I think both guys got some good zingers off and everything. It was the longest promo segment in Dynamite history, and I think those two lived up to that kind of expectation, or being given that responsibility of having such a long segment. That being said, I think when you're just kind of looking at one-on-one, I think Punk ate MJF's lunch in that promo segment. I think that a lot of the stuff that MJF was throwing, like Punk said in the promo, a lot of low-hanging fruit. Nothing new was revealed in what MJF was saying about Punk, but Punk had a lot better zingers and a lot better things to say to tear down MJF that resonated a lot more, and then spawned a whole bunch of discourse on Twitter, and then spawned people commenting on it on air on Raw the next Monday, and that whole thing. I think it was, like I said, it was entertaining, and I think both guys were good in their own own way. But if you're just looking at like who won the promo fight, I think it was Punk pretty easily. Punk's zingers were a lot more zingy than MJF's, I would say. Even though MJF got a couple of good lines in, I'm not saying he was terrible, but I'm just saying that their styles were such that you could really tell, like, you know, how MJF crafts his promos. He's very deliberate with how he words stuff, and like I feel that CM Punk is a bit more freestyle. He's a bit more open-ended, and I think that kind of stuff, when it's like one-on-one like that, I just felt that, yeah, I thought that MJF was caught a bit flat-footed on that one, honestly. But I'm not saying like he's done. I'm not saying it's over for him. I'm saying it's a good learning experience. It's not every day you do like a big promo off with someone who's a great talker in his own right. And MJF is still great. I'm not saying he's bad. I'm just saying he was not in a good position to succeed against Punk here on this time. But like I said, he's young and he'll only get better. But that is not happening tonight. First of all, I have to say I loved MJF's Hanukkah suit he was wearing, but like on commentary, he really beat the whole PG Punk thing just dead into the ground in the span of like less than 10 minutes. The match itself with Punk and Moriarty was pretty good. The crowd didn't know what to make of this, because I don't think they wanted to boo Moriarty in this matchup, because like he would get runs on Punk. They weren't booing him, they weren't cheering him either. It was just like silence, and that was unfortunate, because the match itself was like better than how the crowd reacted to it. A couple of times when Lee really had Punk on the ropes, it seems, it was really close, 2 counts and everything, but ultimately Punk wins with the GTS and remains unbeaten in AEW. Then after the match, MJF on the live mic trying to rile up Punk some more. He says he's trying to get into Britt Baker's pants, which sounds like a response to what Punk said last week about how Britt replaced MJF in the 4 pillars of AEW. But besides that, like, she has nothing to do with the storyline, so why that was included, I'm not sure. Punk says MJF is wearing Larry David's pajamas, and MJF talks about how next week Dynamite's going to be in his hometown of Long Island, and how he's going to be like Piper in Portland, or, which is a great reference by the way, Piper in Portland, or Bret in Canada, or CM Punk in Chicago, and the people are going to be chanting his name as he wins the Dynamite Dozen Battle Royal and retains his ring, basically. So then MJF threatens to, I guess, kill CM Punk's dog Larry. I don't want to see another situation with Big Boss Man and Al Snow, the pepper steak. I don't want to see that happening here. So Punk goes to confront Max, but then Wardlow steps in between them. Cooler heads prevail, and that's the end of that segment there. I think this time around, MJF's promo style was a bit better. I think he was in a better position, like with his delivery, and I think it came off a bit better than what we saw in the promo off last week. And like I said, I'm not taking anything away from MJF, because I think he did hold his own there, but I still think that Punk was a stronger performance last week. We hear from Dr. Britt backstage. She's upset not about MJF name-dropping her earlier, but the fact that Riho cheated to win to beat her in the non-title match last week. She takes a shot at Jamie Hayter for losing her TBS tournament matchup, but then Jamie throws it back at Britt for losing to Thunder Rosa several months ago. And then Britt announces that next week Jamie is taking on Riho in a match, and if Riho can win or survive, I don't think it was really made clear which one, she will get a future shot at the title against Britt. And then we see Adam Cole making his way to the ring. He does his whole entrance, the boom and everything, just to go back up the ramp to do commentary for the next match. But whatever the match was going to be doesn't end up happening. Orange Cassidy makes his entrance, but he stops to look at Adam Cole. Cole gets up and they get in each other's face. The Young Bucks sneak around behind Orange, but really, if he had better peripheral vision, he could just clearly see they were right there. But anyway, he turns around, he hits the Bucks with like the soft kicks, but then Adam Cole hits him with a low blow. The Bucks hit Orange with the soft super kicks, and I love the fans were totally on board for it too, also doing the O's when they do it. And then they hit the double super kick for real to the mush to him, and then Wheeler Yuta and Chuck Taylor make the save with chairs, chase the super click away, and that's the segment there. So we don't get a match. What became of Orange's opponent? Who knows? There's a promo from Tony Nese, who's challenging Sammy Guevara for the TNT title this Friday on Rampage. And now, okay, this next match, this is a squash match. Not like Danielson and Allen Angels. This is a real squash. It's AC Adams taking on Wardlow, and Adams is, he's no match for the big man. He is just totally smashed here, and Wardlow just power bombs the bejesus out of him to win the match. And then afterward, after the bell, Sean Spears, the accountability buddy, just whomps the shit out of AC Adams with the chair. Man, I hope he got paid paid extra for that on this night. I'm really curious, like, what is the status of the Pinnacle now? Are they still a thing? Because you've got MJF and Wardlow, and then Shawn Spears is attached to that, but then you got FTR and Tully Blanchard doing their own stuff. Like, is there any continuity with them anymore? Is it kind of in case of emergency, put the Pinnacle back together, or what at this point? We get a promo from Penta and Pirate Pac. Pac's got an eye patch now after he was sprayed in the face with the black mist by Aleister Black, but he says that he and Penta can take on FTR on Friday, even if he only has one good eye. And speaking of tag team action, this next match, these two undefeated teams in action as Sting and Darby Allin take on Billy and Colton Gunn of the Gun Club. This is kind of the blow-off, it seems, to the last couple of weeks where Billy and the Guns have been getting kind of involved in Darby and Sting's business here. It's also Sting's first match in Atlanta in 14 years, which is a really big milestone. The face paint he had, it was like the Darby inspired, it was pretty creepy. By the way, Taz does join commentary from this point on for the rest of the show. Billy using his strength against Darby, countering the coffin splash with the one and only. And by the way, I know it's been said a lot in the last couple of weeks, but it is crazy just how good Billy Gunn looks for his age at 58. You can shout steroids all you want, but that can only get you so far. Anyway, Sting with the hot tag after Darby takes all the heat. He hits the Scorpion Deathlock onto Colton, but then Austin with a cheap shot as the referee doesn't see it. Darby, like a lawn dart, just shooting, launching himself at Austin, then bouncing off Billy on the outside. Then he and Sting work together to take Colton out for the win there. I thought this was a fun match. It always just seems kind of a novelty when Sting and Darby are there. Sting's in action, wrestling. Again, at his age, he may not look jacked like Billy Gunn, but it's still impressive that everything he's been through, he's still able to work and make it look very competent. And yeah, I think it was good stuff here. Alex Marvez being interviewed by Chris Jericho, and Jericho emphasizes that last week he didn't show up to save Eddie Kingston. He was just trying to fight 2.0 and Daniel Garcia. But then who shows up to beat him up? Why, it's 2.0 and Daniel Garcia. They beat the hell out of him. They throw him into the garage door and they slam him in the face with the chair. He's written off from doing commentary on Friday's Rampage. And all I can say is I'm just so happy it's not Jericho fighting American Top Team anymore. We get Taz doing some Steiner math to explain how Team Taz is going to do really well in next week's Battle Royal, when suddenly Lio Rush shows up and confronts Taz on stage, talks about how, you say you have this 100% chance, which means you don't think I have any chance of winning the Battle Royal. He says he's a fighter and he's going to go down swinging even if he only has 1% shot at winning there. Then you've got Dante Martin, the newest member of Team Taz, who was stolen away from Lio. He shows up on stage, stares Lio down, and Ricky Starks is there to kind of taunt him as well. And that's where that ends. After the promise that Lio and Dante showed as a tag team before Dante betrayed him and joined Team Taz, I am really anxiously looking forward to an eventual one-on-one series or just one match with these guys. That's going to be absolutely insane. And as far as like what the payoff to this could be, maybe Lio can convince Dante to see the error of his ways and come back and there'll be a stronger tag team afterward. Who really knows? But the idea of Dante having kind of like, he turned his back on Lio, he's joined Team Taz. I missed that last week when I didn't cover Dynamite, but I am very curious to see what the payoff and how that story's going to go. Mark Sterling Esquire and Jade Cargill cut a promo. There's an open challenge to see who can face Jade on Rampage on Friday, and one of Thunder Rosa's students, Janai Kai, who you might have recently seen just today on Ring of Honor's Women's Division Wednesday on their YouTube channel, is going to be facing and answering that challenge. And then Thunder Rosa shows up to say, I'm going to be doing commentary on that match, and you better watch out for Janai Kai and everything. So I'm excited to see how Janai does against Jade this Friday. Speaking of the ladies, the last quarterfinal match in the TBS Title Tournament as Chris Statlander takes on Ruby Soho. By the way, I really always appreciate when Taz takes time to sing the theme song for Ruby Soho as it's happening. Some great back and forth in this matchup here. I love Chris showing off her strength against Ruby in some cases. Ruby hitting the Poison Rana. We get a near fall and we get the shocked face, which I'm like, okay, some habits are harder to break than others, I guess. It's just it's one of those NXT traits that I don't think are going to be going away anytime soon. Ruby counters the Big Bang Theory with a roll-up to pin and win the match, so she's going to be advancing to the semifinals against Nyla Rose. And then after the match, you've got Vicky Guerrero on the ramp distracting Chris Statlander, and that allows Nyla to get a cheap shot in on Ruby in the ring, and then Chris comes back and chases Nyla off. I mean, okay, I guess it builds a little more heat to that match in the next round in the tournament, but I don't know if it needed that. It just made the segment end a little flatter. Main event time, it's the Atlanta Street Fight as Cody Rhodes takes on Andrade El Idolo. The match begins on the ramp in the middle of Cody's entrance because Andrade jumps him. You got Arn Anderson and Jose, the assistant, fighting, and we'll see that kind of pop up again a couple of times with the course of this matchup here. That is a recurring thread. Also, something you see early on in the match is there's some stuff on Cody Rhodes' back. Looks like he was like really horribly sunburned and it's peeling, or he's got like tarred and feathered, but only on his back. It was just kind of a weird look, and they brought it up in commentary, which like in hindsight they probably shouldn't have done, because that just kind of exposed the smoke and mirrors, so to speak, of what you're about to see. It will play into what we see at the end of this matchup here. T-Pain, by the way, he's one of Cody's guest stars on the Go Big show, and so he hands Cody a chair at one point early on. Andrade hits Cody with Cody's own weight belt, throws it into the crowd, but unlike last week, the crowd does not throw the weight belt back. Cody getting a consistently mixed reaction from the fans here. He is from Atlanta, he's a hometown boy, so it's like there is kind of that natural desire, I guess, for people to cheer him, but he's still getting booed a lot, so you get kind of that mix no matter what he really does in this matchup. Cody is bleeding, huge shock as the fight continues. He backdrops Andrade onto some concrete. He gets out a kendo stick, then he throws it away, gets out a sledgehammer, then throws that away, then gets out a golden shovel. Like, wow, I'm sure that moment didn't create some lovely discourse on Twitter tonight, just saying. And then you've got all of a sudden Jose, man, looking jacked. I didn't expect that. He just comes running down with a taser, but Cody stops him. Like, what is going on? This match is chaos. Cody goes through one table, Andrade sets up another one, then suddenly Brandy Rhodes shows up. She's back, and she was in disguise for some reason. I don't know why she did that. Like, she's married to one of the EVPs. Why are you getting in disguise for this? But she sets the other table on fire. Cody with a reverse suplex. He takes like 99% of the table on this one, and that's what the stuff on his back was. It's clearly some kind of like flame retardant gel that he had to put on before doing the fire stunt. Again, if they didn't bring it up on commentary, maybe it was still obvious, but it wouldn't have been so kind of like giving it away by acknowledging it and everything. So Cody is it's still an impressive spot. Don't get me wrong. Like, any flaming table spot is like, you're crazy for doing this one. Cody is still on fire on certain parts of his body as he's covering Andrade to win this matchup, and that really just escalated quickly. But what an insane way to end that matchup, which was a crazy match to begin with, and just, yeah, a really insane way to end the show. It's all that you can really say about it. My grade for this week's episode of Dynamite is a B+. I think the show gave you a lot of action and hit you with a lot of points to build toward Winter is Coming in 2 weeks. The main event, I think, really kind of like put this thing over the top for me because it was so bonkers. Not every day you see a flaming table spot like on free television or just anytime these days, it feels. So that was it was very cool to see. Obviously, it's one of those things where you don't want to see him bust that out all the time, but like I said earlier this year when it was like Chris Jericho and Nick Gage, you can do matches like that every once in a while, and I think they're doing it at a decent pace right now, but don't inundate us with it. I think don't make it to the point where we're desensitized to it or we're numb to all this crazy shit. But besides that, I think it was great. The Danielson stuff is fun. Gun Club versus Sting and Allen was entertaining. MJF's suit, even though his commentary I didn't care about, he really just beat PG Punk to the ground, but I got it pop big for that Hanukkah-inspired suit. But what did you think of the show this week, folks? Let me know in the comment section below. I'm Brian Zane, and I'll see you next time.